Hi friends, thanks for joining me today. Today our story is about bravery. It's a really great story and I bet you've heard it before. Let's see what our video says about this part of the Bible. We're still in the Old Testament. Let's check it out.
David was a son of a man named Jesse, who was a son of Obed, who was a son of Ruth and Boaz. David was a godly young man from a godly family. Samuel anointed David with oil. That was a sign that God was choosing him. As soon as Samuel anointed David, the Spirit of the Lord came upon him.
What happens next?
As soon as God's Spirit fills him, amazing things start happening.
Can he fly?
No flying. Different amazing things. You see, the Philistines are back.
I thought Saul whooped those guys.
He did, but Philistines always have a way of coming back, like a flu bug in a class full of 4-year-olds. Boy, have I seen my share of flu bugs.
Sunday school lady?
What? Oh, where was I? The Philistines, yes. And this time they brought the biggest, meanest guy anyone had ever seen. A giant of a man named Goliath. He was teasing the Israelites because no one was brave enough to fight him. And then, who should come along but David, bringing some food to his brothers and their commander. And David... Oh, you know this story? Well, all right, you tell it.
So David is tending the sheep because his brothers are away fighting as soldiers in the army.
The Israelites always won, but this time the Philistines had a huge fighter named Goliath, and he was huge.
It's sad that Goliath was about 9 feet high.
His armor weighed 2,400,000 pounds.
Saul's army was scared to fight him because he was too big,
and everyone would run away and say, "Not me, not me, not me."
David said that he would fight Goliath, and he gets really mad when he sees Goliath taunting God.
Goliath mocked him because he just had a shepherd's stick and a sling.
Do you think I'm a dog? You come at me with a stick? He goes, you come at me with a shield and a sword, but I come at you with the army of God.
Because he knew that God was with him, and a sling is very powerful.
So he just got a slingshot and a couple of rocks. Then he takes out a slingshot, puts a rock in it.
Swing around. He didn't have any protection on his face.
This is kind of disgusting, but they said the stone sinked into his head.
It sank deep and he fell down dead. The Philistines were shocked.
They all ran. All the Philistines ran just because God helped them.
Yep, so David, who was still a very young man, saved Israel from the Philistines using just one of these and one of these. This made him an overnight hero.
That's right. The rest of 1 Samuel, almost half the book, is the story of David and King Saul. And what a story it is!
All right, I'll tell it.
What? Who said that?
Chester, I don't think that's such a good idea.
Of course it is. I'm a great storyteller.
Yeah, but you just told the story of Ruth in the last show.
And it was a big hit. They want more, and I will give it to them. Yes, David was a hero. King Saul was so impressed that he made David a leader in his army. And everything David did was a big success because of the Spirit of the Lord was with him. But then King Saul noticed something. The people who used to cheer for him were now cheering for David. The women who used to sing songs about him were now singing songs about David. And Saul became jealous. He was filled with envy and hatred. Yes, King Saul turned to the dark side.
Wait, what? Chester, that's the guy from those space movies.
I know, but it's similar. He was big and strong, he was good, but he became jealous and filled with hate. He turned to evil.
Okay, As long as the kids know that King Saul was a real person, not a make-believe guy from a movie.
Well, now they do. And here comes a David. He's just a kid, but he's good. He's a brave. He can save the galaxy. I mean Israel from evil. And King Saul said, "The Spirit of God is very strong in this one." And young David said, "I will fight you."
Cut! David didn't fight King Saul. He wouldn't.
He wouldn't fight? Why? Was he a chicken?
No, he was very brave, but he knew that God had chosen King Saul just like God had chosen David, and David would not hurt someone that God had chosen.
So he wouldn't fight him?
Nope.
But King Saul wanted to kill him.
Right.
So what did he do?
The only thing he could do. He ran.
Right. He took off running, and King Saul took off after him. Evil King Saul chased him through the deserts, through the mountains. David had to live in the caves and hide out in the wilderness. And as he ran, brave men started running with him, sort of like when Forrest Gump is running and these people follow him around yelling, "Run, Forrest, run!" Except in this case it was, "Run, David, run!" And pretty soon he had his own little army running around out there. They even took time to save cities in Israel when they were attacked by other nations. All while running away from Saul, whom they could have killed pretty much any time, but they wouldn't because David respected God.
What a guy! So, how does it end?
Finally, after a few weeks of running,
A few weeks?
a few months,
8 years, at least.
holy cow, he must have been in a great shape. Anyway, after 8 years of running, give or take, King Saul finally died. I think he had a heart attack from trying to keep up.
No, it was the Philistines.
What? Those guys again?
I told you, they're like a flu bug.
Yeah, we got that. The Philistines attacked Israel once more, and this time David wasn't there to save the day. King Saul and his son Jonathan died in the same battle.
And at long last, after 8 years of running...
We reach the end of 1 Samuel and the end of our story for now.
Oh, come on, this is the best part!
So that's the life of Saul, one of the Bible's tragic heroes. It's a true story, too, not like those make-believe space stories. Saul had everything going for him. He was tall, he was strong, he was handsome, he was brave, and God chose him for an amazing job. And sometimes he listened to God, but other times he listened to the people around him and followed their directions, or just did whatever he felt like doing. And God could no longer use him for his rescue plan. Do you want to be part of God's rescue plan? Do you want to be one of God's heroes? Then we need to learn more about David, and that's exactly what we're going to do next. See you then.
And now at last I got one final thought to share before we depart. 'Cause whether you're grown up or whether you're not, it's never too early to start. Look for God's wisdom and follow God's law. It's not only wise, it is smart. Live life like David, be happy because you're a child after God's own heart. Now some folks will tell ya in our world today to chase anything you desire. That happiness comes when we have our own way, that next to us nothing is higher. But I beg to differ, I disagree. I've seldom been happy while following me. Only God's love is as deep as the sea. He loves us with all of his heart, and that is the place we should start. So look for God's wisdom and follow God's law. It's not only wise, it is smart. Live life like David, be happy because you're a child after God's own heart. be a child after God's own heart.
See you next time.
Who would have thought that David would be the leader, the one that God chose? Well, clearly not David's family. It's amazing that God knows what it takes to be a good leader. Maybe it's not somebody we would know, but it's somebody that God would know. Well, my friends, what a great lesson to be brave, to listen to God, and to know that we can be brave because God is with us. Well, I thought it would be a fun craft if you could find some rocks outside, maybe in your yard or maybe down a path, and get a special rock and decorate it. Put something on there. Maybe you can write the word brave or put a heart, just to remind you that God is with you. And you don't need to be the biggest or the strongest to know that you can be brave because you have God in your heart. All right, my friends, have a good week. Bye-bye.